What's happening, comic fans? It's Mike from the Hardcover Comic here. Nice to see you all in the year 2021. We made it. We're here. Comics are still a thing. The world is still a thing. Welcome. Today, it's we're continuing our celebration of the year of the custom bind, but of course, I still got to talk about some top fives. I still got to talk about some hidden gems, some underrated series, some books you just may have missed throughout the years, and many hundreds of titles that get released throughout a year. I'm going to harken back to an era that is looked upon with very dark and gloomy eyes, and that is the New 52. It's a DC era I've spoken about in other videos as well, but today I'm going to focus on a corner of that specific era. This is how precise we get here on the Hardcover Comic, all right? We're not only not going to talk about hardcovers, but we're going to talk about a very specific part of the DC universe in the New 52 within a specific time frame. We're going to talk about some dark titles, my favorite dark titles within the New 52, titles I recommend checking out, short-lived titles, no doubt, but very excellent titles. So before we get into that, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We have something new going on with our Patreon now. You'll get early access to our YouTube videos, along with the opportunity at the end of every month we do a hardcover giveaway, where we essentially, for every dollar you give, you get an entry into the drawing. And at the end of every month, we give away an omnibus, an absolute edition, deluxe editions, essentially new releases, whatever it may be. So check that out if you're interested. Link down in the description below. Let's dive into it. Let's talk about some New 52 Dark Universe titles that I recommend you check out. So real quick before I start talking about the titles, the number one title I recommend to anyone is Justice League Dark. This is really the epicenter from which all the other titles spawn out of, let's say. This is the grand kahuna. This doesn't even count in the list of titles I'm going to be speaking about today. This is in a league of its own. It's definitely highly recommended. Justice League Dark, fantastic run in the New 52. But the top 5 titles I'm going to talk about are titles that haven't really had official hardcover releases. Not that Justice League Dark has. They're titles that really I don't really hear anyone talk about, but I've read them and I've really enjoyed them. I read them recently too, so these are pretty recent memories. Let's dive in. Number 5, the first title I'm going to talk about is Frankenstein, Agent of Shade. This was I believe it was 15 issues, everything said and done, from 0 to 14. Written by Jeff Lemire, artwork primarily by Alberto Ponticelli. This was a really fun title. It's so much fun. Frankenstein, first of all, is an excellent character in the DC universe. He's very, he's got sort of a unique way of communicating. He's sort of, again, this agent of shade, which is a superhuman. I forget what the acronym stands for, but they deal with magical stuff. Father Time runs the whole place. Really funny stuff going on with that character as well. But basically, Frankenstein is this agent. He's essentially the Hellboy of the DC universe, which is really what the title reminds me of a lot. Is sort of a Hellboy-esque title where the organization Shade is goofy and kind of silly and supernatural and crazy, and he's got this BPRD equivalent team that he's working with that's really fun. A lot of great characters in there as well. The artwork suited the title. It was Alberto Ponticelli, who's very, I don't want to say he's messy, but he's got sort of a frantic style that I think worked really well with Frankenstein. It was sort of like it kind of looked like Frankenstein, like kind of imperfect and messy and sort of put together at times. I think it worked really well for the title, and Jeff Lemire, he writes fantastic dialogue. It's silly, it's goofy, it's funny. But then it also gets serious. Frankenstein has some amazing one-liners in the title. And he deals with supernatural crazy things, which is, what you're looking for, what you're going to expect with a dark title. So the first title I recommend is checking out is Frankenstein, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Thankfully, all these short-lived titles are pretty quick reads as well. They're 15 issues or so each. So it won't take you forever to read it and catch up and enjoy it all. The fourth title I'm going to talk about is, the second title rather, I'm going to talk about is Dial H. I think I've spoken about this before. It's sort of an underrated comic in my opinion. I really enjoyed it. It was written by China Melville with artwork by, I believe, Matteo Santaluoco. Thank goodness I have this here. I can just look at it. Alberto Ponticelli as well. What do you know? I forget how many issues this ran for, but it was, again, around 14, 15, 16 issues. And it follows a character who essentially encounters this dial that anytime he dials hero, Hero, he basically gets transformed into some sort of mythical supernatural character. And he's kind of a loser. He doesn't really have much going on in his life, and this sort of changes and revolutionizes his life. Really great story, seeing a character find some meaning and responsibility in his life and seeing it change him and progress him and develop him. You get to see some really wacky characters in the DC universe. The heroes he transforms into are really crazy. The villain he faces is very crazy, supernatural, again, sort of a Hellboy vibe to it. Really, really fun, incredible artwork throughout. There is a deluxe edition for it. I don't know how expensive it is. I got this years ago. I'm surprised we even saw a deluxe edition for Dial H, but really, really recommend it. A lot of fun. Great book, great artwork. Really nice if you're a supernatural horror fan, a thriller fan. Can't recommend it enough. Next up, Demon Knights. This is written by Paul Cornell. I forget, I'm going to butcher this name. Diogenes Nevas, I think is how you say the artist's name. I'm sorry if I butchered it. I know Bernard Chang did some artwork on the title as well. A lot of great artists on it. Paul Cornell, I don't know too much about. I know he did a little run on Wolverine that I didn't enjoy too much, but Demon Knights is excellent. Demon Knights is a really, really fun book. Really stands out. Really unique book in the DC universe, I would say. It follows a bunch of characters in the past, way before the current times in the New 52. It follows characters like Vandal Savage, Jason Blood, Madame Xanadu. Who else is in there? I'm forgetting. I'm blanking on who else is in there. Shining Knight is in there, whose name I forget now. Either way, it's got a whole bunch of supernatural characters. You get to see characters like Merlin, Mordru in there. Really, really cool stuff. Really fun team with a lot of different characters, different sets of magic, sort of working together and, at times working against one another. You're dealing with characters, again, like Vandal Savage, the Demon Etrigan, so you're never going to really have a really cohesive team that works together too well. But it's really fun. They deal with a lot of mystical things. Mordru, of course, being one of the main villains of the title. And then sort of seeing these characters, they're all really powerful mythical beings that, it's kind of tough for them to get along because they're all so powerful and they're all sort of after their own epic quest. And these quests happen to intermingle with each other. And sometimes what one person's trying to save, the other person's trying to destroy. Very fascinating stuff. I loved seeing the interactions between the characters. The one thing I didn't like too much was that Etrigan didn't rhyme too much, at least from what I remember. He wasn't too much of a rhymer, which is kind of a bummer. It's really fun when he does rhyme, but it's okay if he doesn't. It's not a crime. So either way, I really love Demon Knights. It actually ran for like 24 issues, including the number 0. So probably the longest running out of all the titles except for Justice League Dark. Highly recommend checking it out. If you're looking for a fun supernatural team book, can't go wrong with Demon Knights. Second last title, Resurrection Man. Resurrection Man. This was a character that I have very, very little knowledge of prior to reading this title. This was written by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, the team that was, I think, most known for their Guardians of the Galaxy run, later on doing Annihilation, run on Nova at Marvel Comics, really well known for their Cosmic Marvel work. And Resurrection Man ran for 13 issues, 0 through 12. It follows the Resurrection Man. I forget what his name is, but he's essentially a character where every time he dies, he comes back to life with a new set of powers. Very, very cool concept. I really, really enjoyed the way it was executed in this story. The artwork throughout the story was also fantastic. It was consistent all the way through. You really got to enjoy the style and seeing all the different superpowers that the Resurrection Man gets. Of course, he's being chased down by multiple agencies that want to deal with his superpowers, how he got them, what they can do, how they can manipulate them. Really fun stuff, very short-lived series. I think it's a character you could do a lot with because of the nature of his powers and his abilities and the fact that he's sort of tied in with these supernatural elemental forces like heaven and hell and his soul. All this kind of weird, supernatural stuff that you could sort of really have a good time with and stretch out a nice story with. But it doesn't seem like Resurrection Man was able to keep the sales going, but I really, really thoroughly enjoyed the run. I really like Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, and I think they did a great job here making me care about the characters and everyone else he encounters. Really, really, really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I highly recommend you check it out as well. The last title I'm going to talk about is a book I really, really wish we'd see more of. It is I, Vampire, written by Joshua Hale Fialkov with artwork by Andrea Sorrentino. This ran for, I believe, 18 issues with the number 0. I, Vampire follows a character named Andrew Bennett. Andrew Bennett is sort of the he's, I don't want to spoil too much, but he's a really, really powerful vampire werewolf type character. Again, I don't want to spoil his origin, why he is the way he is, but the story mainly focuses on the present day when the queen of the vampires, as she's claimed herself, Mary, she essentially starts a war with the human race, and Andrew has to prevent that from happening. You get to see this organization called the Van Helsing, so it's not just one character or some clan anymore, it's a whole organization. Very, very, very cool concepts explored in this title. The amount of like knife twisting and backstabbing that there is fantastic. There's so much drama. Andrea Sorrentino's artwork is stunning all the way throughout. He is truly a master. I honestly hadn't really seen his artwork in this title up until a few weeks ago, and I can't believe how much I enjoyed it. I would love an omnibus edition for this title, a deluxe edition rather, whatever it may be, something oversized, because Andrea Sorrentino's artwork is to die for, and the story overall is really, really excellent. It's very gruesome, very bloody, not for children in any way, shape, or form. It is not like iZombie, it's iVampire, and it's very much a gruesome vampire book, but I really enjoyed it. Amazing artwork, probably my favorite New 52 Dark title after Justice League Dark. iVampire, seriously, go check it out. Really self-contained, but you do get to see some crazy characters show up in there too. Really crazy characters show up. Completely unexpected characters show up, but I really loved it. Can't recommend it enough. iVampire. Thank you all very much for tuning in. That's 5 dark New 52 titles. Are there ones that I didn't mention that you thought were excellent as well? Did you dislike? Do you disagree with me on any of the books I mentioned? That's fine too. Let us know in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Check out our Patreon. You can get early access to these videos. You also get a chance to be part of our monthly giveaway where we give away a brand new hardcover comic, whether that's an omnibus, absolute edition, multiple deluxe editions. It's craziness. There's all sorts of stuff being given away over there. But thank you all very much for tuning in. Hope everyone's doing safe and sound in the new year. Looking forward to making more videos, getting some more custom binds, reviews, overviews, hauls, live streams, top 10s. It's going to be a great one. Hope you guys have a better year than I do. And until next time, as always, you stay classy, internet.